So the Crimson Slaughter Codex supplement came out, and I bought it. I'm not really quite sure why, considering I don't play Chaos Space Marines much, but I guess I have the entire army, being that they came out in Dark Vengeance, and that was sort of the poster child army for the current edition. So I bought the supplement, and I thought I'd do a real short review. First, I'd have to say that it's actually a really interesting read. It's fun to read, and it's not a real short synopsis. It actually gives a pretty good set of background fluff to them, which is good. They're, as an army, they're not a legion. They're something totally different. They're a brand new band of renegades, which I also think is cool. We've read a ton of fluff in the background and all the novels on the different legions, but something new, something different. I honestly think that if you wanted to, this Codex supplement could be word bearers without any alteration. So it makes a great Codex supplement word bearer if that's what you wanted. Well, let's just run through the rules and see what they really did. The first thing to cover is that everything taken as part of this Codex supplement has some special rules. And it's kind of an interesting thing because it says all models that are in the Crimson Slaughter detachment have the Fear special rule. So this is a Codex supplement, which means that that it's basically a detachment of your Chaos Space Marines. You could take your whole army as Chaos Space Marines Crimson Slaughter, but that means that even your cultists, so if this deranged mutated cultist is here, he's got the Fear special rule. It means that your Rhino has the Fear special rule, which might be useful because if it's assaulted and it knocks its attackers down to weapon skill 1, they no longer hit it on a 3, they hit it on a 4, which is kind of cool. But Fear really limited use, so I can see they adding that without any real big deal. Another big change is that they have the Slaves to the Voices, which says that these guys possessed become scoring troops. There was a lot of talk about this, and they made another change. So not only did possessed become troops, but they took away the what is it called? Vessels of Chaos, which in the Codex Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, the possessed are amazing in close combat. They pretty much almost always wound. They either have Shred, or they're Strength 5, or 6, I guess, if they had Mark of Khorne and charged, and or they are AP 3. So they're really quite good in combat. They changed that. They took that close combat boost away and simply made them far more survivable. So they're an expensive troop, but you could really look at it and say, what do I get for that? I get a troop choice that is it's got an invulnerable save, it's fearless, and it's pretty survivable. And if I took marks, the price goes up on them, but they could be very survivable. So let's say you took Mark of Tzeentch, then these guys would essentially have a 2+ invulnerable save for 1/3 of the game, and they'd have Shrouded for 1/3 of the game. So they'd be pretty survivable. Knocking down their combat efficiency is not a bad choice for troops, because honestly you're probably not going to be using small groups of troops for just taking on close combat where you're really trying to smash things down. So I think making them more survivable, but they're still an effective unit. So they're pretty good. They're on par cost-wise with the other elites, and have just about as much stuff. The only two things they really suffer for is they have no ranged weapons and they have no grenades. Somehow when the demons take over their bodies, they just drop their frag grenades and leave them. So when they assault into cover or through cover, they just strike on initiative 1. I guess there's one other thing. So they do have a set of special rules that now gives them Shrouded 1/3 of the time, and you roll this before you move. So at the start of the turn, they either get shrouded, they become beasts, or they get a 3+ invulnerable save. There's a problem here because let's say you put 20 of these guys in a Land Raider, you're going to drive over, and assault out of it. If they suddenly become beasts, then they can't be in a vehicle. It's not addressed in the rules, it just says they change from infantry to beast, which means literally you can't have a beast in a transport, so they'd have to get out. There's a couple other special rules. You can take, if you take this guy from the core book, and for 10 points, you could make his detachment, or pretty much any detachment of chosen, a preferred enemy unit. So you would give them preferred enemy. Chosen still suffer from the fact that they're just Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, with some better flexibility as to what equipment they can take, but they're not quite as versatile as a Havoc squad. I don't know. A preferred enemy does make them much better. They're going to hit most of the time when shooting or assaulting. But I still think you won't see Chosen use a whole lot. But it's a great upgrade for 10 points. It certainly makes them far more effective. They lose the ability to take veterans of the Long War, except for Noise Marines, Khorne Berserkers, and Plague Marines, and you're not allowed to take Thousand Suns in this army and give them veterans of the Long War. There's some fluff reasons behind it. Other thing is that you have your own Warlord trait table, which, by the way, is a great Warlord trait table, and the relics, instead of using the relics out of Codex Space Marines, you get relics out of Codex Supplement Crimson Slaughter. The Warlord trait, so if you take a Warlord from the Crimson Slaughter, the Warlord traits, all but one of them, I think, are great. You could either get hatred for the Warlord and his unit. You could get this Maelstrom of Torment, which says that the enemy suffers at -1 or -2 on their leadership to fear tests, and there's a -1, which is good. It hurts Psychers. You could get Maddening Rage, which is this ability that gives your Warlord Rage and Furious Charge. The downside is that you can't shoot, so this is the one that I think sucks. Because not being able to shoot, not even shooting a pistol, and having to assault, this is it's kind of a weak one. You could get Merciless Slaughter, which gives you Crusader. It's an okay one, particularly if you're going to use it in a close combat squad and you're hoping to run people down. You could get the Spectral Assailants, which is an interesting one. It basically has demon ghosts around your Warlord, and everyone that's in base contact with them in close combat, every enemy suffers an automatic hit. No AP, but initiative 10s, D6 strength 3 hits, and that's every enemy base. So you could end up doing a lot of hits per base. So that's a pretty powerful one, and you could give him Shrouded. So he's got pretty good Warlord traits. The relics, some of these are pretty good. You could take this Crozius here. This one actually, well, this isn't the specific one that they're intending, but if you took a Crozius of the Dark Covenant, it gives Zealot to everyone within 6 inches. So it turns your former chaplain gone Chaos Space Marine into a far more effective guy, because instead of giving Fearless to just his unit, he gives it to everyone within 6 inches. And he gives them Hatred, so since they're Zealots. You could take the Blade. So these are all the things that come on the Dark Vengeance models. So the Blade of Relentlessness, it's an interesting weapon. It gets better the more models you kill, which would mean you want to take your guy with the blade and just charge him into a mass of, say, cultists or something, or guardsmen, something you can kill a lot of. And since you could put this on a Demon Prince, there are a few models that could really do a lot of damage with it. I'm not sure I would put it on this guy, because I don't intend to charge him into a bunch of guardsmen, but I think a Demon Prince would do great with it. You could give him the Slaughterer's Horns, which he has. It's not bad. It gives you Furious Charge, Hammer of Wrath, and Rage. Rage is a great rule if you're going to go into close combat. So if you take him with a squad of possessed, that's a good option. Or with something like Corn Berserkers, something that doesn't intend to do anything other than charge. You can take a special upgrade to your sorcerers. There were no sorcerers in Dark Vengeance, so you'd have to have a Chaos Sorcerer for this. But it gives you Divination for 25 points. It makes it harder for you to deny the Witch. You just deny on a 6, you no longer deny based on being a Psyker or your Mastery level. But Divination, 25 points. Definite. Great boost. You could take the Demon Heart, which I guess he has the Demon Heart. It's not really something you see, but the Demon Heart gives him a 2+ armor save, and it will not die. So as an artifact, I mean, you can even put this on pretty much anything other than Demon Prince. It's not allowed to be taken by Demon Prince, but it's a pretty good artifact. And then the last one is Prophet of the Voices, and this is the special possessed Warlord. And this had come up if you read all the rumors that you could take a possessed, and sort of like a possessed champion as your Warlord. This artifact gives the user all of the powers of the possessed and says that they can only join units of possessed. It actually has a couple other benefits that I don't think everyone had thought of, and that's the fact that it gives you the same random table as the possessed, but it doesn't say that you roll at the same time as the unit. So the unit rolls and gets shrouded, for example. Your character is going to roll separately and might get 3+ invulnerable save. So in which case they'd get both. Or the unit could get moves like beasts, and your guy could get shrouded, something like that, which makes the unit slightly slower but far more survivable. So it's not bad. It is the I'm a possessed Warlord. Other things is that you could use this on a Demon Prince, and the Demon Prince 2/3 of the time is either going to get a 3+ invulnerable save or the Shrouded rule. And the third power, change from infantry to beast, can't affect demons because they're not infantry. So if you took this artifact, put it on a Demon Prince, you'd make him more survivable, because that 3+, or if he's Zinch marked, 2+ invulnerable save is pretty nice. And Shrouded, always good. So that's just a short review. I think it'll be a fun Codex supplement to play. I think it's certainly going to be competitive. I mean, you can still take your Helldrake army if you want. You could take Possessed as troops, and they're maybe not as survivable as Plague Marines, but they're as survivable, if not better, than pretty much everything else. And there's a couple things in the supplement that give you in-fluff reasons to do things. So if you wanted to take Fabius Bile, you rarely see him on the tabletop, but I don't think he's terrible. He gives you Space Marines that are fearless at Strength 5. If you wanted to take him in your Allied detachment, or I guess technically you could take him in your Crimson Slaughter detachment, you could do that because there's some good fluff reasons for it. So there are some weird things. I guess I didn't mention either. The way that the supplement is written, I don't think that you're prohibited from taking named characters from the Codex Space Marines. So you could, I guess, take named characters from the Codex Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines. So there's some weird combos that I hadn't really discussed here. And then the last thing to mention is that the Codex supplement has a bunch of new new missions, and most of these, haven't read through them. The City of Death and the Planet Strike ones, you'd have to have those supplements to use them, and they're kind of old. You'd have to sort of tweak those just to use in the current edition. But the standard core rulebook missions, they're actually pretty fun looking, so I would say that's just a benefit. You can download one of them from free off the Black Library site, but the rest of them you get in the book.